And welcome back to Sports the NEMO Way, the Miami Dolphins edition. But before we talk about those said Dolphins, I have something to talk about. As everybody knows, Jimmy has been hounding us about the Browns episode and leaving off Sir Bernie Kosar. So, my supervisor at work is also from Ohio and is a huge Cleveland Browns fan. So I went to his office today and I said, who is the Browns Mount Rushmore? He has no context to what I'm talking about because he hasn't listened to any of our football episodes. And the second guy out of his mouth was Bernie Kosar.
Oh, no.
And when I told him we left Bernie Kosar off and that that Jimmy was giving us a hard time, his response was, "Yeah, you deserve to be given a hard time. You left Bernie Kosar. He's the most popular guy in Cleveland." He's a bigger deal in Cleveland than Jim Brown. So, like you said, I stuck up for us and was like, "Hey, like we didn't know that. Like I've never been to Cleveland. Have you guys been to Cleveland?"
Well, actually, I have, but it's a while ago.
That's what I told Jimmy, too. I said, we ain't Cleveland fans. We don't know this shit.
So half of us weren't even alive to watch Bernie play.
We talked about, I think it was me and Uncle Doug talked about how popular he was. Like,
Yeah, we did.
Like,
Derek had a Bernie jersey.
yeah. So, I mean,
So I guess what I'm saying is now we've got two Browns fans that are like, "Hey, you guys screwed up." So I'm not going to give a retraction, but I will say that it does point in the direction that we may have made a mistake.
Well, it all comes down to, are we talking popular or good?
That's true.
I
That's
mean,
true.
we went with the four guys that we thought were the best players. Now, if we're talking with the four most popular, then I'd say Bernie definitely needs to be on there. But that's just the way we went. I thought that's the way we were going. But
yeah.
Well, RB, his four. RB is my boss. His four were Jim Brown, Bernie Kosar, Joe Thomas, and Ozzie Newsome. He left off Otto Graham.
Okay, because he's the old guy. Yeah.
I was gonna ask who do we take off, but
So he swapped Bernie in for Otto.
Yeah, and Jimmy did it for Joe Thomas.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought Jimmy had Brian Sipe on
He
there,
did.
too.
He didn't have Ozzie Newsome on either.
All right.
But he's given in to us on that. He said that he's not upset about Brian
And
Sipe.
I know he doesn't like Joe Thomas.
Yeah, it's not that he dislikes Joe Thomas. He just says that Joe Thomas didn't do anything that helped win games because they never won when Joe Thomas was
We had
there.
to protect the new quarterback.
A shitty quarterback.
Have a quarterback to protect, yeah.
All right, well, we can stop talking about the Browns. I just wanted to get that out there, that somebody else is on Jimmy's side. So, anyway, the Miami Dolphins. Ray, who's your number 4?
This was a tough one, and I switched them back and forth right before we even started. But my number 4, I went with Zach Thomas. The 7 Pro Bowl, 5 All-Pro, not in the Hall of Fame, but his tackle stats are off the charts. 20.5 sacks, and he is the All-2000 team. And I switched with the other one. They could probably go back and forth, but this list is mainly the ones that I know because there's probably the other 21 I've never even heard of. So I just went ahead and went with Zach Thomas.
Does anybody else have Thomas on their list?
Zach Thomas is my number 3.
All right.
Okay.
And it is a crime that he is not in the Hall of Fame.
You
That
know,
is terrible.
when I was doing my research, I mean, he ended up being like probably my number 5.
same here.
I went back and forth between him and my number 4. And I couldn't figure out why he's not in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, they've got a thing called the Hall of Fame. It's like Hall of Fame Index or something. And it predicts your Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
And the average for over the last however many years, the average person, if they score 100 or better, they're in the Hall of Fame. And Zach Thomas is at 113 was his score.
Well,
And, I mean, Nick Bonacani, who's a Dolphins legend, is at 103. Brian Urlacher's at 114. He's just
in.
one
I saw
ahead of
that
Zach
statistic,
Thomas
yep.
in. I don't understand why Zach's not in there.
I was surprised today when I saw he wasn't. I just thought he was. I don't know why he isn't. But I'll put it in this context. We spent half an episode talking about Clay Matthews not being in. Zach Thomas has 200 more tackles in 8 less seasons.
Yeah.
8 less seasons.
Yeah.
Well, when you look at the guys, his numbers are a lot alike. You got Ray Lewis, Junior Seau, Brian Urlacher. I mean, those guys are all
Right, and they're all there.
Yeah.
That might be part of the problem, though. He played in an era where there were just more famous people than him. Like, everyone talks about Ray Lewis and Brian Urlacher, so he probably just got overshadowed. And sometimes, even though that's not fair, that's how things go
Well,
sometimes.
the Dolphins weren't very good.
I was going to say his
Yeah.
team
Yeah.
wasn't winning. That's probably
Yeah.
a big one, too.
But he was an absolute tackling machine.
Yes.
Like, he has over 1,000 just solo tackles, I believe.
Yeah, he does.
Like-
1,107 solo, 1,734 combo.
Yeah. 1,100 solo tackles is pretty.
That's a lot.
That's a ton. Yeah, that's a ton. Like, that's just him just manhandling everyone just nonstop.
Well, he was undersized too.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like 5'11".
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or that
Nope.
cowboy collar.
But when I was growing up, like everybody feared Zach Thomas. Like, you didn't necessarily fear the Dolphins, but you didn't want Zach Thomas to wreck your game plan. You know, I was super surprised today when he did. He was very close to making my list. I went back and forth with a couple guys at the end of my list. He just missed, but I almost put him on.
Yeah. I had him at number 4 for a while, but I ended up swapping him out with someone else. But I'll explain that in a few minutes. But
All right, so 2 for Zach Thomas. Nobody else had him.
mm-mm.
All right, Drew, who's your number 4?
Larry Zonka.
He is also my number 4.
Zonko's my number 3.
He's my number 3.
Actually, I have Zonka at number 2.
That's where I have my Larry Zonka as well. Number 2.
So is that a
Number 2.
unanimous Zonka?
Yeah.
Everybody's got Zonka, yeah.
All right.
He was
Write
a
that
beast.
He was just a powerhouse.
No, he was that big. When I
He
looked
was
how
just-
big he was.
Plowing through bitches. He was going to town.
Well, I'll be honest with you. You know, like, he has some good seasons, and but the main reason I wanted him on my list was because he's one of the first guys I think of when I think of the Dolphins.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
It's not. I mean, like, he only played 8 seasons there. You know, his numbers are not off the charts.
Yeah, they share the
but-
backfield.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. But he, other than Dan Marino, he's probably the next guy to come to mind when I think of the Dolphins.
Well, he's probably the most famous player from their greatest teams.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
From their
Well,
Super Bowl teams. He's the most popular one.
He was MVP in one of the Super Bowls.
Yeah.
Yes, he was.
He had like 140 yards and like 2 touchdowns or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, he's their all-time leading rusher. I got
Yes.
that on mine, and in a league where you could tear people apart. I mean, physical game
Yeah.
back then, really.
He's their all-time leading rusher, and he's the all-time leader in rushing touchdowns.
Yep.
And you got to remember his non-football stuff. He did the announcing for American Gladiators with Matt.
Yeah.
Mike Adley.
I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but I thought this was interesting. He's the only running back to receive an unnecessary roughness penalty while running the football.
Oh, wow.
He went
Kind of
and
funny.
must have just knocked out some Bills safety and just got flagged for it.
Bills
Hey, I just realized this. We have a guest, and I never introduced them, so I apologize. So our resident Dolphins fan for the episode is Robert. He's a first-time guest for Sports the NEMO Way. So sorry, Robert, for not introducing you at the beginning. I got on my Browns take and didn't
That's all
introduce you.
good. Second youngest guest next to Brock.
yeah.
I don't think anyone's past
No,
Brock.
yeah, that's pretty.
Yeah, I don't think
Yeah.
we're gonna go much younger than that. Yeah.
Which, shout out to Brock. Today is Brock's 13th birthday.
Oh, sweet 13.
Ah, way to go, Brock. Yeah, way to make it to 13. Oh, teenage. Yeah. All right, well, does anybody else have anything to add about Larry Zonka before we move on?
As I researched him more, I just started to like him more and more. He left the NFL to go join the World Football League for a few years.
Mm-hmm.
And when he came back and joined Miami, he was actually comeback player of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he was only in the World Football League for half a season
Yeah.
because the league folded mid-season.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, so does anybody have a number 4 left?
I do.
Oh, I do.
Oh, okay. Well, Robert, who you got?
My number 4 is Jason Taylor.
He's my number 2.
He's my number 2.
He's my number 2.
And
Jason's my number 4.
Jason Taylor is my number 3.
Okay.
And it was really a
going
toss-up.
quickly.
between-
Is that another
Is that another unanimous? Do you have Jason Taylor too, Alex?
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's two people.
All right.
Oh, we're making headway here.
Well, I'm going to assume that somebody else is going to be unanimous.
Yeah,
Well, don't say any spoilers. We don't want to upset anybody.
Yep. And it was a toss-up between I have Zach Thomas at 3 and him at 4.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that was a toss-up either way. Jason Taylor's the reason I play as a defensive end on Madden. I mean, when I was little, I played on the DS. He's just faster than everybody. And all those strip sacks. That's just crazy. I mean, 43 forced fumbles.
Yeah, that's pretty nice.
Yeah, I mean, he essentially has 140 sacks. He's 139 and a half.
Yeah. He's top 10 all the time, ain't he?
I don't know where he ranks.
I think he's like
You asked me that the other day, and I said I was going to look it up, and I never did.
Well, it's Bruce at like 200, then Reggie's like at 190, and then they drop off. Like it's.
I believe he's near the bottom of the top, like
He's
or
at least top 10.
At least when you're like retired, I think he was like 7th or something. I don't know.
he's 7th currently.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
he's got
yeah.
like 8 interceptions, a couple of safeties, and he scored 9 touchdowns.
Because at
Yeah,
one point in his
that's
career,
nuts.
they made him stand up and play outside linebacker, so he was actually dropping into coverage for a couple of years.
Well, the year he won Defensive Player of the Year, he did some insane shit. I'm trying to
Well,
look
one
it
year
up.
he had 18 and a half sacks. He didn't even get defense play of the year. He
His
came in second.
His Defensive
Yeah.
Player of the Year
6.
season, yeah, he had 2 interceptions and 2 touchdowns off interceptions. So both balls he ran back.
He had 9 forced fumbles that year
9 forced fumbles, 13 and a half sacks.
and over 60 tackles.
Yep, 62.
So he, as a defensive end, had 2 picks, returned both of them for touchdowns, forced 9 fumbles, and had over 13 sacks and over 60 tackles. That's that's a pretty all-around performance for a defensive end, I'd say.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah.
most defensive ends are happy to get 1 pick in their career. He got 2 in a season and took them both to the house.
Have a sack. Most are lucky to get one, but much less to return them all the way.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, he was.
He has 3 for his career return touchdowns or interceptions. He also has 6 fumbles recovered for touchdown.
Wow.
Jeez.
Yeah.
He was a beast, but again, the Miami just couldn't put anything around him.
No.
No, that was back in the day.
Story of our franchise.
Like, can you imagine if Jason Taylor was playing with another defensive end on the other side? Like, what would his numbers look like then?
Yeah, he's not
Yeah.
getting double teamed every time, or that's who they're looking at, not.
Yeah, I remember when I was first growing up, and like you first start to get old enough where you kind of know what's going on. Like, you can kind of really figure stuff out. And it was like him and Michael Strahan and Dwight Freeney, obviously being a Colt player. Like those were like the guys in the NFL when I was growing up. He was one of the dudes.
Oh, and what's his name? The guy that played in Tennessee. They called him the Freak.
Oh, Curse, Javon Curse.
Javon Curse, yeah.
Yeah. Well, he ended up with you all.
Yeah, at the end of his career, he was with us.
Yeah. But those were the badasses in the NFL when I was growing up. Early 2000s. Yeah, I'm sure we're missing a couple, but those.
Well,
are
I
the first
mean,
ones that come to my
Bruce
mind.
Smith and Reggie White were ending their careers. They played a few
Oh,
years
yeah.
into the 2000s.
Their primes.
but-
So I was
But
tiny.
they were long gone from there.
Yeah, I mean, Reggie White and Bruce Smith were both playing in the 80s. So, I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so. Is that everybody's 4 now? Are we out of 4s? Wade?
Nah, I still have my.
Oh,
four.
Wade still has his 4. All right, Wade, who's your 4?
Bob Greasy.
He is my 3.
He's
my 2.
He's my 3.
Sweet Jesus. All right. It's going to be a quick episode, boys. All right. Well, I mean, I just put Bob Greasy because, compared to some of the other guys' stats we looked at back then, he does have more touchdowns and interceptions. That's more than some of the great quarterbacks in that era can say. He had a couple pretty nice, really efficient seasons for back then. They talked about, I read some articles about how he was considered one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the league back then. I believe he led the league in touchdowns once with like 22.
Yes, he did.
And obviously he was the leader of the offense that won 2 Super Bowls. And I think he was hurt for the season they went undefeated, but he came back and played in the Super Bowl.
He broke his leg, and then
That's why I left him off my list.
Yeah.
'Cause I felt if the team could go undefeated without you, how important was your role, really?
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, actually, Deacon Jones from the Rams broke his leg.
I read
Oh.
that. Yes. So yeah.
But yeah, he's got an MVP, Player of the Year, 8 Pro Bowls, couple All Pros.
Yeah.
So
What year did they go undefeated? 72?
72.
Yeah.
Yeah, he played 6 games, 72.
6. Yeah.
Yeah. How much did he play in the playoffs, Robert? Did he just play the Super Bowl, or did he play some of the playoffs too?
I'm not 100% sure on that. I just saw he was injured most of the season.
Yeah, I knew he was hurt,
Yeah.
and then he came back.
How many games were they playing in the early 70s? 14?
14 and 0, yeah.
14. So he missed by half the season.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I'm looking up the playoffs, see whether he was playing. In the first round, they played the Browns.
I feel like I read he came back for the Super Bowl, but
No, it does not
I
appear.
don't know.
It does not appear that he played in the first round.
Okay.
Well, and I also kind of left him off my list because I might be a little bit biased since I played fullback. I love fullbacks, but I felt like those guys were a lot more important to their team back in those days. I felt like the quarterback wasn't as important of a position.
Oh yeah, back in the day,
Oh, no.
defense and running the ball is how
Yep.
you won.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, we've talked about that a couple times.
Yes.
Bob Greasy played in the second round.
Played in the second
Oh,
round.
okay.
So he played 2 games in the playoffs because
Gotcha.
that was, the conference championship was round 2. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Zonka got the one Super Bowl MVP.
Mhm.
Who got the other one?
Oh, was it maybe Mercury Morris? Maybe.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I
I don't know. I'm guessing. I don't
I
know.
don't know.
couldn't find
Because,
it.
I mean, it was Zonka and Kick and Morris were the 3 running backs
Mhm.
that had a lot of touches.
Maybe a defensive player snuck one in. I don't.
It was probably that kicker that tried to.
Because I went through, they've got like 9 Hall of Famers, and so I went through all those, and it's like, wait a minute, I only see 1 Super Bowl MVP here.
I don't know which one.
Let's see what I can find.
Yeah, so I'm trying to. My
Well,
phone will work
and this
fast
year,
enough.
this Super Bowl, Bob Greasy only threw 11 times. So I'm going to say he didn't win the MVP. Zonka had 112 yards.
Jake Scott.
Yeah, I just looked it up.
Oh, he was like the safety.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I forgot about Jake Scott.
Yeah, he got the first one.
Didn't he run back?
He had 2 interceptions.
Mm-hmm.
Did he run one of them back for a score or something?
No, he ran back 63 yards, but no
Okay,
touchdown.
Didn't score. All right.
He also had 2 tackles. So,
Yeah, I remember Jake Scott.
and apparently the Redskins quarterback sucked because they had another guy had an interception, so he threw 3 picks.
Who's playing quarterback for the Redskins then?
Let's
Or
look.
Washington.
The Dolphins actually weren't favored to win that game. I mean, they came in as the undefeated underdogs. It was-
Yeah. Is that the Garo, your premium attempted pass game?
It
yeah, it's one of those two. It was one of those two. Yeah.
Billy Kilmer.
Oh, yeah, Billy Kilmer. I remember him. My dad kind of liked him, I think.
He was 14 of 28 for 104 yards and 3 interceptions.
I think Billy Kilmer was the guy that used to, all his passes looked like ducks. He just wobbled all over. But he won a lot of games.
I mean, yeah, 3 interceptions wasn't bad. But I remember we were watching that Bills thing about their 4 Super Bowls in a row, and the first one against the Cowboys, they had 9 turnovers.
Yeah.
As a team.
Yeah, they lost
A lot.
bad.
It was like 52-17.
Didn't they get stomped a few times in the Super
No,
Bowl?
the only one that was close was the first one. He missed the kick. The other
Right.
ones, they lost by like 17 or 20 to the Redskins. Yeah, they were the Redskins then. And then
Yeah.
they lost to the Cowboys 52-17. Then they lost to the Cowboys 30-13.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Cowboys.
9 turnovers.
The Cowboys manhandled them those 2 years back to
Well,
back.
at least the second one they were winning at halftime, but then Thurman fumbled twice in the second half, and they just couldn't get anything
I don't
going.
think Kelly played particularly well in a lot of those Super Bowls.
Well, Kelly didn't even play in that third one because he got hurt, and then Frank, they thought he was going to bring him back again like he did in the first round against the Oilers, but
Nope. Wasn't that like the biggest comeback ever, the one against the
Yeah.
Oilers?
because it was on.
Yeah.
For
Well,
a
ever
while
since you talked
anyway.
about watching stuff
Yeah.
on NFL Network, I've started watching Football Live and stuff, and that
Mhm.
game was on, and I watched it. That was insane.
Yeah. You
Andre-
learn a lot on NFL Network, don't
Andre
you?
Reed has 3 second-half touchdowns. Like, holy crap.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right, so that's all of our 4s. Does anybody have a 3 left?
No,
No.
Nope.
Does anybody have a 2 left?
No.
No.
So we're all just sitting here waiting on a 1.
Yeah.
Oh, shocker! I wonder who it is.
Dante Culpepper.
Believe it or not, that's like the third time we've talked about it. We talked about it with the Vikings and the Lions.
Lions.
Is Culpepper gonna be the new like Scott
Tom
Pollard or
Chambers?
something? Yeah,
He's
Tom
gonna be
Chambers.
Tom Chambers.
Yeah. Well, Robert, would you like to say who your number 1 is?
Oh, I have Dan Marino at my number 1.
I do as well.
I do as
Also
well.
mine.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yep.
So we only have 5 guys.
We almost was it last week, or week before, we were talking about if we'd ever have an episode where we all had the same 4.
We thought it'd be the
Yeah.
Bills.
This is close.
Yeah, this is close.
Probably about as close as it's gonna get, probably. But
Yep.
yeah.
All right. Well, who's got stuff on old Dan Marino?
I can talk about him.
Yeah.
I'll talk about Dan Marino all day. He's the first quarterback to pass for more than 5,000 yards in a season, first quarterback to complete more than 40 touchdown passes, MVP, Rookie of the Year. He retired as the all-time passing leader in almost every statistical category, and he did all that without a running game, too. And which you can say he didn't have a defense, but that might have actually helped his stats, not having a defense, having to play from behind all the time, but not having a running game, I think that's crazy to me. But no championships, which bites, but
Yeah, that's the one thing that just kind of a lot of people drag him down, compared to like Montana and Brady and people like that. But we've talked about before, I don't like it when people just talk about Super Bowls at quarterbacks because it's really you have to be surrounded with a ton of talent to win a Super Bowl. So I mean,
Yeah, we've talked about this. Your team's kind of got to be loaded.
You got to
Yeah.
be loaded. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
let's
And he
look at-
elevated his team a lot
Yes.
throughout his career and it's
Well, there's that whole argument that you can't really argue against because you can't equate it with anything, but it's like some guys are just winners. Some guys win and some guys have stats. And some guys are just winners. And you're like, well, okay, but do you really think Troy Aikman's a better quarterback than Dan Marino?
not a chance.
No.
I know he has 3 Super Bowls, but what was he asked to do to win those 3 Super Bowls?
You put Dan Marino on those Cowboys teams? Wow.
Yeah.
Nothing. We were just talking about how the Bills had 9 turnovers. If you lose a game and your defense gets you 9 turnovers, I mean,
yeah.
and he's got Emmitt Smith behind him and a great O-line. He's thrown to Michael Irvin. I mean,
and arguably the greatest offensive line ever.
yeah.
And you noticed we're not talking about any all-time great receivers when we're talking about the Dolphins.
I did want to talk
So-
about the Mark brothers just a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah, they were
Yeah.
good, but they're not on the all-time great list.
No.
Well, Wade and I were
They
actually
both
talking
had
about
like
this.
8,000 yards for their career.
Yeah, Wade and I were actually talking about this. I think it was yesterday or the day before. How good were they? Were they good, or were they good because they played with Dan
Yep.
Marino? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, and it's hard because they both played on the teams kind of together, too, so their
Yeah.
stats might take away from one another.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
But neither one was a very big guy. They're both like 5'9", 5'10".
Yeah.
Well, here's something that surprised me about Dan Marino. He's only a 3-time All-Pro.
Yeah.
That surprised me. I
Well,
thought,
you gotta think who he was playing with though, like in
He's
that
only
era.
3-time first team. If you go and look, he's got 3 second
He's
team
got 3
All-Pro.
second
So he's
teams,
6-time
yeah.
All-Pro, but still, I thought it'd be more than that.
Yeah. And 9 Pro Bowls, MVP, Player of the Year,
You gotta-
Rookie of the Year.
He's only got 1 MVP.
He was playing the same time as Elway. He was playing the same time as
Montana.
and then Steve Young and Troy Aikman and Brett Favre and
There were some quarterbacks at
that's
that
like
time.
5 top 10
Jim
quarter-
Kelly.
Well, didn't Kelly, Montana, and Marino all go in the same draft?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
And Elway.
Oh, and it was
And
Elway in that
Elway.
draft?
Yeah, they all came
Yeah.
out together.
Oh, Elway was drafted by us,
Yeah.
but then he refused to play for us.
Well, Jim Kelly didn't go straight to the Bills. He went to Houston and played in
Right.
that other
Played
league
for
for 2
Gamblers
years
in the
before.
USFL.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I was trying to think today about Marino. I couldn't name a single defensive player that played while Marino played for the Dolphins.
yeah, I don't.
And I
Yeah,
couldn't
I don't
name. I
know.
couldn't name a running back either.
I was going to say, who was running backs? Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, you're right. I'm not trying to argue with you, but technically, his career overlaps with Zach Thomas.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess
Oh.
a little bit.
Yeah.
A little
I
bit.
didn't know how long they overlapped.
Okay.
Yeah.
when you mentioned that Jim Kelly went to the Gamblers, Moreno was actually drafted by the Generals of the USFL.
Mm-hmm. I
I
read
think
that.
he was the first USFL draft pick.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Generals wanted him really bad. The USFL wanted him really bad.
Yep.
Yeah.
To try to build the league around.
Well, he fell pretty low in the NFL draft.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really, like 16th, I think.
There were drug rumors, I think is what happened.
Really?
Don Shula probably started them, but
Yeah, that's right. Pretty sure he dropped out.
yeah.
There was wasn't there? Is it a 30 for 30? Isn't there a 30 for 30 on this draft?
It's
Yeah.
something like
Yeah, I
that.
think
Yeah,
so.
like-
Like quarterbacks.
Yeah, and it's like it's about draft day and where these guys fell and why they were falling there. I watched it once a long time ago, but I can't remember it. Like you said, he fell down the draft. I can't
Yep.
remember exactly
Aren't
why.
there even like outside of the Hall of Famers? Weren't there like 2 or 3 other ones that were like had decent careers?
Well, I think
I think there's more than just the Hall of Famers.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think whoever went last, which might have been Marino, went like he was like the 6th quarterback taken or something like that. He wasn't the 4th, or maybe it was
Yeah.
Montana that went. I think Montana went because Montana was like a 3rd round pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
I don't quite remember, but
I don't know if Montana
Oh, well.
was in that class or not.
John Elway went first. Then Eric Dickerson
Montana would have
went.
been before that.
went
Oh no, sorry, I interrupted you. Keep going.
No, and then Eric Dickerson went at 2. And then, let's see who else. Jim Kelly went at 14.
Ken O'Brien and
Ken
Tony
O-
Eason.
Yeah, Ken O'Brien.
Yeah.
Didn't Ken O'Brien have a career for like a decently long
Went to the
career?
Jets, I think. Didn't he?
Yeah.
Dan Marino went at 27.
And Todd Blackledge was taken before him, too.
27.
Blackledge went to the Chiefs?
I don't remember him.
I think Blackledge was out of Penn State, and Moreno was out of Pitt.
Yeah.
Someone say Bruce Matthews.
Oh, the tackle
The guard, yeah.
or guard?
Yeah.
The Matthews family.
Houston. Yeah. So yeah, they have Hall of Famer like next to the people in the draft. So
Marino was really 26th
27th, yeah,
or 27th.
yeah.
Well, I can't remember for what reason. I don't know if it's because they passed on him or it's because they were like the next pick. But they're in that documentary I was talking about. They make a huge deal about Marino almost ending up in Pittsburgh, and everybody was like, "Man, what would the Steelers
Yeah.
have done with Dan Marino?"
Yeah, the Steelers had the 21st pick.
So they passed
Yeah.
on.
Yeah,
him.
they passed
And
on
he
him.
went to Pitt.
So who'd they take?
Yeah. They took nose tackle Gabe Rivera out of Texas Tech.
Okay.
Interesting.
Well, and I remember that documentary. Some of those guys like just ended up being bums. They
Yeah.
took
Oh yeah, that happens in every draft.
Well, I mean, Kelly didn't go till 14, so there was
Yep.
probably some bums taken in front of him
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously Elway went 1, and you can't really argue too much against Dickerson. I mean, he was a beast, and that was a running back league back then. But
Oh yeah, Dickerson's a top
reminds
10
me of the
running back
Trubisky
ever.
pick, honestly.
Oh,
Yeah. There it is. Trubisky. Yeah, he's gonna rebound with the Steelers. We'll see. We'll see.
Kenny Pickett's probably going to start by the end of the year.
Nah, I don't think anyone would be shocked by that. I don't think anyone.
They're
would be
renaming their
shocked.
field.
Are they?
Yeah, it's not
They are
Heinz
doing it?
Field. Yeah, they're actually doing it. They took down the ketchup bottle today.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
What are they going to call it?
Some company. They're naming it something different.
So they got given a bunch of money to
Yeah.
change.
I'll look up the new
I
name.
feel like Heinz Field is such an iconic.
But yeah, Steelers
like-
fans already started a petition
Yeah.
to change it back.
That's
in
one
all
of the more
reality,
popular
it
ones.
hasn't been Heinz Field for all that long. When I was growing up, it was Three Rivers
Right,
Stadium.
it's
Yeah.
Three River Stadium.
I feel like everyone knows Heinz Field though.
It's going to be
because they've been good, for
Chrysler Stadium.
Chrysler.
Chrysler, yeah, I think.
Huh.
It's
Kreischer?
what?
Just read it. I suck at pronouncing stuff.
Yeah, a Kreischer. I don't know what
I
that
don't
is.
know what the hell it is either.
It's been Heinz Fields for 21 years. So,
Wow.
I mean, for God's sake, they just changed Staples. So
Yeah, I would say-
there's nothing more iconic than that, other than maybe Madison Square Garden.
yeah.
Yeah.
Was it the Crypto.com Center now or something
Yeah,
like that?
Crypto.com arena. Yeah.
So dumb.
Although the nickname's cool, I do give it a cool nickname, the Crypt. That is pretty
Yeah,
good.
I do like that.
But still, Staples is so.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we have 5 guys, and 3 of them were unanimous.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh boy.
So is it? Are we arguing over Zach Thomas and
Zach Thomas and Bob Greasy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
guys, this is some anticlimactic shit. Right?
Well, and I think we probably need to. I wanted to mention a couple other guys while you guys were thinking about this. I mentioned Paul Warfield during the Browns episode, mentioned me again during the Dolphins episode. Warfield was an awesome receiver. He was on both their Super Bowl teams, 8 Pro Bowls. They had 3 Hall of Fame linemen.
Yep.
Dwight Stevenson, Larry Little, and Jim Langer. So they had some good linemen over the years. And then Nick Bonacani was kind of a face of the defense when they were really winning. But he only played half. I didn't realize he only played half his career in Miami. He started off in New England.
Oh.
Well, I thought he was always a Dolphin, but when I looked it up, he had like 7 years in Miami and like 7 years in New England. But Nick Bonacani was on both Super Bowl teams. He was a middle linebacker. Not really any stats because
That's 70s.
you know how that goes.
Yeah,
back then.
defensive guys.
He did have 8 Pro Bowls, 7 All-Pros, 5 first team, and 2 second. Just some other Dolphins to mention.
I looked up Warfield quite a bit. They talked about he had like some insane yards per catch average, I think.
Yeah.
He was like
I was trying to think here. He had 156 receptions for 3,355 yards in his career. So we're talking like 20 yards of reception for his career.
wow. Yeah.
33 TDs. I take that back. 400. Well, that was I think that was just with the Dolphins.
Yeah.
For his career, he had 427 receptions for 8,500 yards, which again is like
That's a huge
20
average.
yards of reception.
Yeah. So I'm guessing he was a speed demon down the field.
Yes, he could run.
He's one of those guys like we're around the front like Randy Moss. He split time places. He didn't spend enough time one place to get on there.
Yeah. We're running that same problem with T.O.
Yeah.
T.O.
Right.
spread out everywhere.
Yeah, it's hard.
We'll
when
find
you
more.
Split your.
He won't be
stats
on the
up.
Eagles list.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I'll refuse. I'll just sit here and not let you guys do it.
He was only there for, 2-3 years anyway?
Yeah, 2 years, yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, since we're just mentioning guys, I will say this is another franchise where we could, if we would allowed it, it would have been easy to put Don Shula on.
Yep.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, he's the other Hall of Famer. Besides the 9 players, Miami has 10 Hall of Famers. The other one is Don Shula.
Yep.
Obviously, an awesome coach.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's the all-time leader in wins, isn't he?
I think he was at
maybe.
one point, yeah.
Yeah. At one time, I know he was. But
Well, and
I want to say he's still, unless Belichick
I
passed
was saying
him.
Belichick passed him.
Belichick
I
be the
don't
one
want-
person that would be
Yeah.
in shouting distance, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Don Shula has 328, George Halas has 318, and Bill Belichick's still at 290.
Ooh.
He'll Spygate
how
his
many
way up
Super
there.
Bowls?
There we go. Well, you know,
He won the
Patriot
2 in
episode's
Miami.
coming
Didn't
soon.
he win one someplace
Yeah, and I
else?
just talked to Bob on
Did he
Saturday.
win one with Baltimore?
So,
I don't. Well, I shouldn't have won with Baltimore. Brian Billick was there for the first one, and Harbaugh was there.
I'm thinking Baltimore Colts.
Oh, cool, okay.
you know about Shula?
Yeah.
He
Where
was
did he coach before the Dolphins?
us.
Oh.
He was the Colts coach.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Didn't he
Yeah.
take them to the Super Bowl?
He was our coach when we lost to the Jets.
Oh, when they lost to the Jets. Okay,
No, I mean-
that's what
I
I'm
mean,
thinking.
We won a bunch of championships before that. I don't know when he got there. But I
Yeah.
know he was our coach when we lost to the Jets because our owner got pissed and might have fired him for it, to be honest.
Yeah, Baltimore
Also,
head
what's your
coach
name?
from 63 to 69.
Yeah, it says he has 6 Super Bowl appearances.
So
I'm trying to figure out how many he won.
he
Don
might-
Shula played for a little while.
5 with the Dolphins and 1 with the Colts. Well, we know he lost the Colts one.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the Dolphins only got 2.
You got 2.
So he must have lost the rest of them.
Yeah.
He's 2-4.
Well, I thought he had been to Super Bowls with 2 different teams.
Yeah.
He's just an amazing coach.
He was back there with Unitas and John Mackey and Raymond Berry and all those.
And ironically, the
Rascals.
Earl Morrill that you're talking about, the backup quarterback that filled in for Greasy, he was also Johnny Unitas' backup
Oh. So it's
with the Colts
He just
back
followed
in the
Shula.
day. Yeah,
Yeah.
evidently Shula must have really liked him.
yeah, I'd say so.
He was a pretty decent quarterback.
That's a pretty common thing for coaches to do. Is like, you know, I like this quarterback. He knows my system inside and out. I'm going to bring him to be the backup wherever I go. It's something that guys have done in the past.
That what old Dolphin game were we watching the other day with Don Shula? It was some playoff game with the Dolphins. What was it? Remember? Oh, it was the Chargers
They were
again.
playing the Chargers. Yeah,
Yeah.
they were playing Dan Fouts and Kellen Winslow and all them.
Yeah, that. 'Cause
Yeah.
The Dolphins were down like 24-3 or something.
Was that before Marino?
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
I was watching that too. actually.
Don Strock, I think, was the quarterback for
The
the
Dolphins came
maybe.
back, but then the Chargers ended up winning because Kellen Winslow carried the Chargers.
Yeah.
Fouts was the quarterback, right?
Yeah.
They were all saying, "Oh, we'll never see numbers like this again from a quarterback." And
Yeah.
just
Right.
wait 3 years. Marino's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then nowadays, it's like every quarterback does this in
Yep.
the playoffs.
Yeah, yeah.
But Winslow was he's like cramping up every other play, and he's like, "Get me back out there," and it's like,
Oh, yeah, Winslow was amazing.
That's the one where he got like carried off with the towel on his head.
"Yeah, I
And
think
they
so."
always re-show that part. People like helping him off the field. I've never seen that.
Marino's biggest win of his career might have been on Monday Night Football against the '85 Bears.
knew
so.
it.
I
I knew
knew
he was
but-
gonna say
It's
that.
probably his most famous victory. I mean, in
Yep.
all reality, I'm not even trying to pick on Drew. It
Yep.
probably is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
definitely
the 72 Dolphins certainly celebrated it.
That's right. Yep.
Wasn't Marino the one that he faked spiking the ball, then hurry up and threw it
Yep.
in the end zone?
Yeah,
to
but
win the
I'm
game?
watching that game.
Was that against the Jets?
Yep. Dad watched the Monday Night Football game. He
Yeah.
told me, but
I think the Dolphins that year, didn't they lose the Patriots in the AFC Championship to go to the Super Bowl?
yeah, that sounds right. Yep.
Because the Bears were worried that the Dolphins were going to win and they were going to
Had
play.
to play him again, yeah.
Yeah.
The '72 team, the guys that are still alive on that team, I think every year whenever the very last team like loses their first game, don't they all like celebrate by
They get together and have champagne
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's one of the defensive backs from that team is really obnoxious every year when the last team loses. Like he
They're probably
like
sweating bullets here, the Patriots, for going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
yeah,
My
yeah.
favorite player is probably David Tyree.
That's right.
Yeah.
They like Eli.
So I was just looking at I have Bob Greasy's page pulled up,
Mm.
and I was actually looking at his sack numbers.
Yeah.
This dude was sacked a lot.
Yeah. How many times was he sacked?
Holy cow.
Well, his
Oh,
third
boy.
year in the league, he led the league in sacks with 33. And he was sacked 31 times the next year.
Mm.
And then it was 23, so it's dropping. Then the Super Bowl year, he was only sacked 7 times, but again, it was only in 6 games. But and then 11, and then 27, 16, 30, 36,
Oh,
Wow.
18, 26. Like, and
Joe
like,
Burrow was just sacked like 60 sometimes.
we got sacked 9 times in that one playoff game.
That might be why his interception numbers are so low. 'Cause he just took the sack
Maybe.
Instead of throwing the ball, chucking it.
compared to those other quarterbacks.
he also has a season where he led the NFL in touchdowns. And he also has a season where he led him in completion percentage.
Well, and wasn't one of Zach Thomas's biggest downfalls always he didn't have enough sacks? Wasn't that?
He only has like 20
Yep.
for his career.
But he also played with Jason Taylor.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah.
Well, I don't think his job was really to sack, was it? I mean, he
No.
was.
I mean, he
just
was a middle
the
linebacker.
tackling
He was a
machine.
middle
Yeah.
linebacker.
Just a lot of people, I think, dog him on that.
I think his job was just to tackle everything in the middle of the field.
I don't really expect middle linebackers to have huge sack totals.
Yeah.
They shouldn't.
It was
Like
it was a out of the ordinary that Urlacher had so many.
Yeah.
You know.
He just happened to be really good at it.
Urlacher's just good all around.
Mhm.
Yeah,
'Cause I don't
linebacker.
think Lewis didn't have that many.
No.
He had like
well,
30 some,
we
maybe
barely
40.
talked about Lewis when.
Yeah, it's true. But I mean, like Ray Lewis doesn't have a ridiculous amount of sacks.
No.
You know.
He'd just get one or two a year, but he played almost he played an insane amount of
Every
years.
middle linebacker
Yeah.
gets that play each season where they're free up in the middle and
Yeah.
they
Mhm.
hit
I
the
mean,
quarterback.
like if Zach Thomas would have played the same amount of time as Ray Lewis, I bet he'd have 30 some sacks. You know, getting a couple a year.
Yeah, that's true. He only played 13
Yeah,
seasons.
Ray Lewis played a long time.
Yeah.
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 Urlacher ended up with like 45 or something.
Yeah. And then but Urlacher did play a similar amount of time.
Yeah.
He didn't play as long either.
yeah, say Urlacher retired earlier.
And Zach Thomas has 17 career interceptions. 4 of them were returned for touchdown.
I remember growing up, just everyone talking about Zach Thomas just being a tackling machine. Like
Oh, he was.
he just tackled everything.
It was like
Honestly,
Which
I mean, it's weird to say, but I don't know if Zach Thomas would play today. Cause
Like just because it's so pass happy.
we don't play guys like that today. Any guys that aren't really good in coverage at linebacker don't play. We play thin, fast linebackers. That's why when guys turn around and hand the ball off, they run over the linebackers.
Seems
Yeah.
like they're getting a lot taller just
Yeah.
as the years go by.
Yeah.
But it's like they kind of moved like the strong safeties up
Yes.
And they play linebacker.
Yeah, 100%,
Yeah.
man.
Well, I
Like,
mean,
There's
our
not-
best defensive player, Darius Leonard, I mean, he weighs like 220.
mhm.
Like, and he's tall. Like, he's not like a short, compact 220. He's a tall, skinny, slender, like 215, 220. He's like 6'2", 6'3". Ray Finkel.
Nobody remembers Ray Finkel? He missed that infamous kick that lost the Dolphins that game.
Oh,
And then he had a sex change and he turned into a cop. And then they called in Ace Ventura because they had a missing
Oh,
dolphin.
God. Oh, God.
Wow, we went there.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
I would hate myself if I didn't throw in an Ace Ventura reference.
I haven't watched Ace Ventura in a long
Me
time.
too, I agree.
Well, Marino's in Little Nicky, the Adam Sandler movie.
Oh, yeah?
He's talking to the devil or whatever, and he's sitting there and he's like talking about, well, you let Namath get one. He goes, you're a good guy, Dan. I can't do that to you. Like, get out of here.
Well, I mentioned earlier that Dan Marino was also drafted number 1 by the Generals of the USFL. One of the trivia questions I thought about asking was, who actually drafted Dan Marino first? And it was the Kansas City Royals. Evidently, he was a really good baseball player, too.
I mean, he had a cannon for an arm, so I'm sure he could throw the hell out
Yeah.
of baseball.
So, I mean, Dan was...
Well, there's something I don't remember about Dan Marino when he was playing at Pitt. I don't remember if he got a Heisman or not because I was writing my paper. He was one of the controversial.
He had a really
years.
bad senior year.
Yeah, I was saying they weren't like.
Is that why he fell in the draft? Maybe?
Yeah,
'Cause
he
the
had a
senior
bad
year?
senior year, and
Yeah.
then the drug rumors started, and which I don't think were true at all. But
Yeah. Well, I think the craziest part when I was, when I first started seeing stuff about Dan Marino when I was younger, not only did he have an absolute cannon, but his release was so quick. It was so, like, he would throw, like, we kind of exaggerate sometimes when we talk about guys throwing, like, a bullet 40 yards down the field. No, he did. Like, it really was on a line, like, 40 yards straight down the field, and his release was extremely, extremely quick. It's kind of impressive to watch, even though it's just someone simply throwing a football. It's pretty nuts to watch. Watch highlights of him slinging it around.
Well, guys, do we want to actually try and decide between these two players?
we just keep talking about the Dolphins. They're fun to talk about.
yeah, it's not every day I get to talk for 40 minutes about the Dolphins.
Well, we're at Zach Thomas and Bob Greasy. Yeah, we've got a quarterback and a linebacker. One different, separated by 20 years. Unfortunately, one's in the Hall and one's not. We're not sure why. One has a couple Super Bowls. Yeah. I'll be honest with you. For me, Zach Thomas is more in the forefront of my mind with Miami, but a lot of that's because of when I was born.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't have the success that Bob Greasy did.
Yeah.
But Bob Greasy, it has 2 Super Bowls. So
I have Greasy on my list and not Zach. And Zach was my 5th guy. But I do like the point Robert made. I hadn't thought about it when he said that he only played half that undefeated season. And if they could still win all those games without him, maybe I'm leaning towards Zach Thomas now.
Yeah. Join the boat.
That's right. That's right.
That's a pretty good point. I hadn't really thought about that.
Yep. Well, and that's the only reason I had him kind of off my list at 5. And I saw when I was looking at Zach Thomas, just throw some more numbers at you. From 96 to 07, Thomas had the most combined tackles in the NFL with 1,640.
Wow.
And that's during the same era as Urlacher's prime, Ray Lewis's prime. I mean, maybe a little bit early, but
As one of the Greasy guys, I can go with Zach Thomas.
I mean, I'm cool either way. I mean, they were my 4 and 5. I mean, I
I'd
don't
be fine
think
with putting Zach Thomas on.
bad decision either way.
I like middle linebackers.
Oh, yeah.
that's right. And he wore a cowboy collar, so
Yeah.
well, this is the podcast that didn't put a quarterback on the Steelers. So I think we can, keep from putting 2 on the Dolphins.
And one of those quarterbacks had 4 Super Bowls, not 2.
That's
And
true.
we-
That's true.
And we just pushed him to the side.
Well,
so.
I mean, and the other one had 2.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah. All right. I think you may have talked me into I'm okay with going with Zach Thomas.
Yeah.
Okay,
All
so
right.
there we go.
So is we good? Is that everybody?
That is the list.
Woo! Yeah.
I did have one more player. Have you guys? So Drew told me I was going to be on the podcast about the Mount Rushmore. Have you guys ever been to Mount Rushmore? Right?
I have
Or out?
not.
I've been out to Mount Rushmore. There's also another place called Crazy Horse out by Mount Rushmore. It's like the Native Americans are built. It's supposed to be like a huge Native American on like a horse, but all they got done is like the nose. That's all they have. And they're still working on it. They won't take any government help. So I had to come up with a Crazy Horse pick.
Okay.
So my Crazy Horse pick is Tua. Because all you can see is the nose, man. All you can see is the nose. And maybe in 60 years, we'll be talking about Tua being on this list.
No, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it.
I think that's called wishful thinking.
Yeah.
And he does have Tyreek and Jalen Waddle, so.
But
Oh, man. That was good. I like that.
Yeah.
So, in review, our 4 Mount Rushmore for the Miami Dolphins are Dan Marino, Larry Zonka, Jason Taylor, and Zach Thomas.
Yep.
We also have 2 offense and 2 defense. Split it up pretty good. We've got multiple eras. We've got, the 70s, we've got the 80s and 90s, and we've got the 90s, 2000s. So I think we, not on purpose, but I think we spread the wealth pretty well there with the Dolphins. And I think that will end the Dolphins portion of this episode and will send us into trivia. Robert, would you like to participate in trivia?
sure, I actually brought a question with me, too.
Well,
if
look
that's
at
all
you.
right.
All right.
Drew, you ready?
Yeah.
Oh, we got it.
Getting everybody ready.
I'm going.
All right, for Defensive Player of the Year, how many defensive backs have won Defensive Player of the Year? That's cornerbacks and safeties.
Okay.
Do we know how many Defensive Player of the Years there's been?
I thought about asking in what year it was awarded, but
How many
didn't.
defensive backs total, huh?
Are we counting total defensive backs or total times defensive backs have won?
total times defensive backs have won. Because
Okay.
some of them have won it. Yeah.
We won them twice, yeah.
So, how many defensive backs have won Player of the Year?
No, like how many in total?
How
Like
many
that-
times?
How many times?
Okay.
Some of them have
defensive
done it
back
multiple times.
has won it. Okay. Oh, boy.
Well, I know Xavier Howard got robbed not too long ago.
He is a beast.
He is an
He
animal.
is. Should have
Well,
talked about him.
You guys
instead
got
of Tua.
2 good corners. You guys got
Byron Jones.
Byron.
We pay him a lot of money.
Isn't he the guy from the Cowboys that never picks anything off?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like he always bats it down, but never actually picks it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can't all be Trayvon Diggs or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many
He
stats
either
against.
picks it off or
Or
lets
gives
him
up-
run for a touchdown.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess that's kind of good. I guess. I don't
I have
know.
an answer, by the way.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I wrote one down.
All right. Let's see him.
All right, I said 9.
Okay.
I said 5.
I said 11.
Okay.
I also said 5.
Said 8.
Way is correct. 11.
Woo, Waitster.
6 cornerbacks and 5 safeties.
Nice.
Oh. Okay.
Wade. Damn it. All right.
I don't have one ready. I know I'm usually second, but
Uncle Doug, you got one?
Yeah, I got one. All right. Let's see. During the 70s, 80s, and the 90s, the Dolphins had winning records against every team in the NFL but 3. Who are those 3?
Mm.
Oh, crap.
I think I read this.
Of course Wade did.
Can't remember.
I have an answer. They're just guesses, though, because I don't really know.
Yeah, I'm just guessing.
Just trying to think of teams that were really good during that time.
I mean, to me, it's pretty impressive that over 3 decades, there's only 3 teams that they didn't have a winning record against.
You want to hear something else crazy? During those 3 same decades, the same team has the best record in each one of those decades.
Wow.
The 70s, 80s, and 90s, the same team has the best record in all 3 decades.
Is everybody waiting on me?
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
You good?
Yeah.
All right. I said the Bears, Redskins, the Steelers.
Okay.
So the Cowboys, the Chargers, and the Raiders.
Okay.
I said the Chiefs, Steelers, and Cowboys.
Okay.
I went all NFC. I went 49ers, Bears, Packers.
Yeah, Giants, Raiders, Jags.
And Wade got it right.
What?
Yep.
Who
it's
was it again?
Giants,
Giants,
Raiders, and Jags.
Holy fuck.
The Dolphins were 1-3 against the Giants. They were 0-1 against the Jaguars. They played them once. And they were 9-17-1 against the Raiders.
Why in the fuck?
Why did they
you
play
write-
the Raiders so much?
Why in the fuck did you write down the Jaguars?
I would not guess the
Yeah, you.
Oh, 'cause I read this when I was doing stuff earlier.
Oh,
I'm trying to find a question right now.
Oh, go Wade. He's
Yeah, no
kicking our
shit.
butt.
All right, Ray, you got one?
Oh, yeah. I don't know if I asked this before, but we'll see. There used to be a football team in this town.
In
And
this
they're
town, I doubt it.
Well, not this town currently. And their team name was called the Triangles. What was the name of the city?
Oh no, Ray! I might know it.
The Triangles?
Why would you name a team the
Triangles?
Triangles?
Crap.
Wait, what was it? Sorry. What was the first part? Just where's the city?
Yeah, what's
Yeah,
the city?
Of
Yeah.
the Triangles.
Yes.
Okay.
I've seen this crap. No, I should know this.
I have no idea.
That's all right. I'm trying to quickly look up questions, and I had to hurry up and put my phone down so it doesn't look like I'm cheating, and then I missed the question.
I think you were cheating. I think that's the
Alex
case.
can't look
We
at
should
that
take your points
Jaguar.
away.
I put my phone down right after Quiddick asked this question.
God, first we got to get the whiteboards for Drew, and now we got to take away people's phones.
I've been setting my phone down right after the question's asked.
Guys always hating on me for the whiteboards. I'm doing just fine.
I
with
didn't have
them.
time to type in that giant question he asked into Google and wait for my phone to load.
Oh, man.
Crap, I'm gonna be so mad when Ray says this.
All right, I got an answer, by the way.
All right, I got a guess.
The Triangles.
All right, I
Gotta do
got
something
one.
to this.
I literally saw this because I thought about asking this a while ago, but
Okay, I wrote a city
Is
down.
that everybody?
yeah.
All right, I put Des Moines.
I said Pittsburgh.
Put Salt Lake.
I said Cincy.
I had no clue. I just said Bermuda.
If you were in Ohio, that would be a good spot. It would be Dayton.
Dayton, Ohio.
Dayton.
The Dayton Triangles.
Interesting.
That's a ridiculously stupid name, but all right. Well, Robert, do you want to go?
Oh, yeah, I'll ask my question. That'll be fun. Don't be peeking, Drew.
I'm not peeking.
He's good for that.
Oh yeah. I'm always the one that cheats.
We all got to be known for something on the podcast.
All right. How many times did Larry Zonka break his nose?
Oh,
Break his nose.
God. I have a guess.
I got to guess.
Yep, I'm locked in.
Yeah, I got one.
I got a guess.
All right, I said 7.
I said 8.
I said 9.
Said 8.
I said 20.
He broke his nose 10 times.
Wow,
Oh, man.
crap. That's
Close.
That's intense. There can't be much left. Like,
No,
No kidding.
What is there to break?
Yeah.
I just have some cartilage up here, guys. Like nothing much.
Yeah, we think of like J.J. Watt nowadays, like when his nose used to bleed all the time. But think about this guy breaking his nose 10 times.
No way he can breathe out of it anymore.
No.
Right? Right? Yeah.
Well, he used to wear that funny helmet with the little piece that came down from the top to try to protect it. Didn't help.
Who all's left?
Me and you.
Okay, I got one. Unless you want to go.
No, you're good.
Okay. What year? Sorry, excuse me. What year did the Miami Dolphins begin as an expansion team in the AFL? I almost started to write it down on my board.
You know, like I have like stuff hanging up in my house, in my office, at work that has Eagle stuff that say like established this year. So I feel like if I was a Dolphins fan, I would know this, but I have no idea.
I got no clue. Yeah.
I wrote a year down.
I gotta guess.
2012.
Yeah. That's probably when they changed their logo.
All right, I got to guess. Is that everybody?
Yeah.
All right, I put 54.
Put 56.
It's 66.
I said 66.
I said 63.
It is 66.
All right.
Robert. You and I.
Well,
No, actually, I'm trying to keep up with
There
you,
you
Wade.
go.
You get 2, I at least got 1.
Oh, we still got a question left.
You guys keep track of the guest, like just whoever your guest is, just like
We could go back and get.
we could
I
go
guess.
back.
Yeah.
You
I
got
mean, we-
one. Biggie got 2.
Biggie had 2.
Yeah, Biggie got 2.
I don't remember if Bob got one.
I don't think anyone has anyone else got one?
I don't know.
I don't think
I
so.
don't think Brock did.
No.
I can't remember if Bob.
Tyler
got one or
didn't
not.
do it.
Tyler didn't do it.
Yeah,
he just caught Wade on his being
Yeah.
off by 40
Yeah.
sacks.
Yeah, not sure.
I don't think Cameron got it. I don't think he did.
I can't remember if Bob got one or not.
So I had to look up a new question because my question was going to be who broke Bob Greasy's leg, but somebody said the answer to that earlier.
Oh.
Sorry.
That's all.
Oh, man, I wish I kept my mouth shut. I got that right.
There you go.
That's
Yeah.
my guy.
So here's my question: which player holds the franchise record for receiving yards?
Wait, say that.
Who's the franchise leader in receiving yards?
Okay.
David Dolphins receiver.
All right, I got to guess.
Cat.
I guess the one thing we didn't talk about was whenever the Miami Dolphins doctors said Drew Brees would never throw a football again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he went on to the old Saints.
That is widely attributed to ruining Nick Saban's NFL career.
Yep.
It worked out for him for the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For him.
Yeah, he's doing okay.
6 or 7 national titles later.
Well, let me ask you this though: if you're, is that better, or would it have been better if maybe he got 1 in the pros?
Wow. I'd have rather him got 1 in Miami than 8 in Bama or wherever he's got now.
I mean, yeah, that.
I think he and Drew Brees would have been a pretty good combo for the Dolphins.
Instead, we got Culpepper. So
Yeah.
Dante Cole. I'm trying to think of this guy's last name.
Yeah, I can't remember the other ones. Yeah, fuck it.
Anyway, I got an answer.
I think this is his last name. I don't remember.
You got an answer right.
Yeah.
I'll just tell it to you.
All right, we ready?
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right, what's everybody got?
I said Clayton.
Oh, that's a
One
deal.
of the marks.
Yeah, I the one opposite, not named Duper. So is it
It's
Clayton?
Clayton. Yeah.
Okay.
I got Duper.
I had Clayton.
And this is sad, but I couldn't think of one damn receiver that Miami's had.
You couldn't write down David Boston or something?
I could have wrote out Ray Finkel again, but
So are we have 2 Claytons and 2 Dupers? Is that what we got?
I'm Clayton.
He's Clayton.
Oh,
too.
you're
I'm
Clayton.
three Claytons.
So just 1 Duper.
Yeah.
Oh, Drew's correct.
Oh, I knew it was one of
I
the
wrote
two.
him down at first, and then I was like, wait,
Let's go.
maybe it's the other one.
The only
And I
reason
went back
I
and forth.
Clayton has 2 or 3 more All-Pro teams. I'm pretty sure.
Oh,
So that's
I don't
why I
know.
went with Clayton. But
Yeah, I thought Clayton had.
I could not think of the other Mark Speller's name. I was sitting here racking my brain.
Like, okay, I know the first name's Mark. Which
Yeah.
one am I going to go with?
Like, it's
Well, good
Duper
call,
and
Jeff.
something. But
All right. After this week's tallies, the standings are as follows. Wade in first place with 10. Uncle Doug in second with 8. Drew in third with 5. And Alex and Ray pulling up the rear with 3 apiece.
looks like extra study sessions for us.
That's right. That's right. So Wade extends his lead by a point this week. So congratulations, Wade, I guess. Do we have to get you another fucking trophy?
One more bonus question. We'll see if maybe Robert will know this. Who was the Dolphins' first draft pick when they came into the football?
Ever?
Yeah.
Do I get a point if I get it?
No, I'm just throwing it
Oh.
out.
Was it Greasy? I have no.
No.
Is it John Ganowski?
Jim Grabowski.
Grabowski?
Yeah, he was a running back out of Illinois, and he didn't go play for the Dolphins. He went to the other league. Yeah.
It's a Dolphins thing to do.
Yeah.
That's tough.
That was my other possible trivia question. I thought Robert might know.
Well, damn it. Excuse me. We appreciate you tuning in to our Miami Dolphins episode. And we would appreciate if you tune in next week for whatever episode we decide to do.
It'll be AFC East.
Yeah. We our schedule is so dependent on guests, and it's been hard to put it together here recently on a week out. So well, we'd appreciate you tuning in to listen to it, whoever it is. And thanks for tuning in to Sports the NEMO Way.